Hey guys, so here's just a short video on some studying tips for the ACE Personal Trainer exam. So some basic information about the test. It's going to be 150 multiple choice questions. 25 of those questions are not going to be graded. They're just going to be used as sort of like experimental questions, but you're not going to know which questions those are, so make sure you answer each question to the best of your ability. You're going to get 3 hours to complete the entire test, and the test is scored on a range of 200 through 800 points. In order to pass, you need to get at least 500 points. The test is split into 4 general domains, so let's jump into domain number 1, client interviews and assessments. In this domain, you should know the 4 stages of the client-trainer relationship, so that includes rapport, investigation, planning, and action. Know how to identify these goals and what happens in these areas. A lot of the test emphasizes building rapport and trust between a client and the trainer, so make sure you know some of the strategies to help form a good bond, such as nonverbal, verbal cues, maintaining good eye contact, asking open-ended questions, having a slight lean forward. All that stuff is really good to be familiar with, as it's going to be pretty present on the test. Note some of the goals that you can use, such as the SMART goal: specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, time-bound. This is the most effective goal. Also be aware of the process goal and the product goal and how you can use all of these goals to implement it into a client's training program. Also know the trans-theoretical model of behavior change, so know how to place or identify if a client is in pre-contemplation, contemplation, preparation, action, or maintenance. And now going to one of the more trickier parts of the exam is the client assessments. So if you go to chapter 7 of the personal trainer manual, this is going to go through detail of everything that you need to know about the assessments. So really read through it thoroughly, because just say when you're identifying deviations, you don't need to, or you not only need to know that how to identify, just say lordosis, but know what it means. So if you identify lordosis, that's going to mean they're going to have tight hip flexors. Similarly, in the movement tests, you not only need to know how to conduct each test, but what the results mean. For example, if a client was doing a bend and lift screen, and during the down phase of the squat, their knees are moving inward, you have to interpret that as that their hip adductors are tight and need to be stretched. So that's really important part of the test. Make sure you go through it in chapter 7. And moving on to domain 2, program design and implementation, you need to understand the ACE IFT model, so the 4 stages of both movement and endurance training and cardiorespiratory training. Know what each of the stages is geared toward helping the client achieve, as well as knowing how to appropriately place a client into one of the 4 stages of those trainings. So if you have an obese client who is sedentary, it's not going to be appropriate to place them into phase 3 of cardiorespiratory training. Be aware of programming for different types of goals, such as muscular endurance, muscular strength, hypertrophy, or power, as these have different program designs of different reps and sets. So if you go to chapter 10, page 338, there's a good chart, table 10.3, that has organized information to help you memorize what the differences are in each of these programs. So I encourage you to go take a look at that. Be aware and understand just some general information about VT1 and VT2 when a client is training in both of those zones. Be aware of the ratings of perceived exertion scale, so what that means. Also know what precautions to take while training clients in extreme weather, so hot, cold weather, at high altitudes, and knowing the precautions to take when you're training a client outdoors. Understand some of the exercises that help a client's mobility, so this is in chapter 9, so just look through the information and the exercises presented. Know what each exercise is and what each exercise is targeted to help the client improve, such as hip mobility, thoracic mobility, stuff like that. For domain 3, program, progression, and modification, you want to be aware of the principles of like overload and how to apply that to a client's program. You want to know how to alter a program to help a client reach a specific goal through the use of like increasing duration, intensity, frequency, the type of exercises that you're giving them. So be familiar with that. Just remember that in strength training, you want to increase the weight by increments of 5%. You want to be able to help a client stick and adhere to a program, so being aware of the motivational techniques that you can use to help a client get back on track for his program, and be able to identify overtraining. So if a client is overtraining, what steps you need to do to help them, get back into a more healthy style of training. And also in this domain is special populations. So chapter 14 of the Personal Trainer Manual goes through all of this information. You need to know what precautions you need to take while working with clients that have like hypertension, diabetes, stroke, osteoporosis, someone who may have previous injuries, and a pregnant woman. All of that you should know. And also just be familiar with some of the medications that these clients might be taking, such as beta blockers, and how these medications might affect their performance in exercise. Finally, domain 4 is the risk management and the professional conduct section. So know the ACE code of ethics and the personal trainer scope of practice. So what you can do, what you cannot do. Know client confidentiality and keeping a client's information safe. Know what informed consent is and what's its purpose, and also some general information on liability waivers and liability insurance, and how to just act as like a professional personal trainer is going to be in this domain. For the calculation section, you should know how to calculate a client's body mass index, their lean and body fat, how many calories a client might need to cut daily in order to achieve a certain weight, and how many calories of a certain macronutrient are in a food. So just say if a banana has 200 calories, then and like 9 grams of fat. I know this isn't like real, but just use it as an example. Then you need to know how many calories of fat is in that banana. As far as the study books go, make sure that you read through the personal trainer manual entirely from front to back. I know that this book is very long, it's dense material, but it is essential that you do read each chapter, each page, because if you miss just like a couple of pages, you might end up losing some crucial information that you need to know for the test. For the other book, The Essentials of Exercise, I thought it was very helpful. Some people didn't think it was helpful for them, but I thought that it helped me understand the muscles and their functions. So chapter 1 was really helpful to me. Also chapter 4 of the nutrition section in this book helped me introduce the concepts of the nutritional aspect of the test. So I encourage you to look at those 2 chapters and just say the recommended fluid intake during exercise. That was mentioned a little bit on the test. So this book is great for that. So for other general studying tips, the books are very dense and there's a lot of information. I found that taking handwritten notes is really helpful as opposed to just trying to memorize it by rereading it over and over again. So I also made flashcards to help me memorize the muscles and their functions. So if you want, you can try doing that. Just do whatever it takes for you to understand the information. I got the premium package, so I thought that the practice tests at the end of all the lessons were really helpful to expose me to what the test format would look like. If you don't have the premium package, that's okay, because the ACE online website has a lot of great resources that you can use to help you prepare for the test. You're welcome to call them, email them, contact them, do whatever to really prepare for the test. So I highly encourage you to take a look at their website and use their resources. Also, go to Appendix B of the Personal Trainer Manual, as this is going to give you some more specifics about each domain of the tests, what you should know for each domain. But yeah, just really try to expand your knowledge about the test. So don't just watch my video, go search at other people's videos, because there's some other great content out there to help you kind of like be familiarized with the test. So I highly encourage you to go discover what's out there, all the other resources and the like. So I hope this video helped you guys in your studying process. If you have any further questions, feel free to comment below and I will do my best to get back to you and answer your questions to the best of my knowledge. Other than that, I wish you the best of luck while studying, and thank you for watching.